Now excited to be joined by a very special guest. The interview that I look forward to as much as any in the year. It is Jordan Rodgers. It is Jordan Rodgers. I got to say this. We talked about this the other day. You are, I said for a long time, you are my second favorite Vandy quarterback because as a Bears fan, Jay Cutler. You are now ahead of Jay. The bad news is you're behind Diego.
I get it. I'd put me behind Diego too. Dude is made for cameras. He's gonna come steal my job at some point.
At what point this offseason did you decide I'm going to put Diego Pavia ahead of Arch Manning in my quarterback rankings and just cause a stir so that I can go on Get Up and just talk about it on every platform?
I mean, I thought about it consciously. You know, there is some sense of morality to me, so I couldn't. But I was close. You know, every now and then in this business, sometimes you got to do something for a headline.
Wait a minute. So you have Arch 5th.
Yes.
Does that mean you have Diego 6th?
No.
7th?
No.
8th?
No.
Am I going in the wrong direction?
Well, think about the guys we're talking about. No. So, like, I can't remember I think I remember the order. But after 5, I got Taylon Green, Ty Simpson, Marcel Reed. Who am I forgetting?
John Mateer.
I have Mateer at 4. So my top 5 is Nuss, DJ, Lenoris, Mateer, Arch.
Why? So do you have Diego in your top 10?
I don't think he's top 10 on the list, honestly.
Is this a prank? Am I like? Are we? Camera's going to come out?
No, think about this. So like the thing about rankings is you get caught in between projection and evaluation. And if you evaluate Diego, there's not many guys that did more with less. There's not many guys that did more on the biggest of stages. But when I project what this is going to look like next year, like where he's going to fall in this mix, there's just guys that I think have a little more upside and a little higher ceiling to what they're going to be. Now, does that mean I think he's going to go out there and stink? No, absolutely not. Like I think he's one of the hardest guys to game plan against. But I do think by merit of what we saw last year, they're going to run him a lot less. So I think his production is going to be a little bit lower on that, right? And they should because they need to protect him. He was banged up at the end of last year, and he wasn't playing like the same Diego because of that. So that's just that ground caught between what I think he's going to look like and what I evaluate. There's a lot of guys that I'm really high on their ceilings and their intangibles. Don't mean that to be a slight because I think it's one of the deepest quarterback classes we've ever seen in the SEC.
How did you not tell me this before Monday so I could have gone directly to Diego and said, former Vandy quarterback Jordan Rodgers doesn't have Diego as a top 10 quarterback in the SEC?
Well, I don't think – see, again, those names I was throwing out, I can't remember if I even ordered them specifically. A lot of those guys I'm just lumping together. But, yeah, I would lump those guys just ahead of Diego.
I'm stunned. I truly am. I thought we were going to have a conversation about – I have Diego as my number 5 quarterback in the SEC. I have him one spot behind Arch. And I point to the exact thing that you brought up. He's banged up down the stretch after Deion Walker fell on his leg. Who among us could survive such a thing?
Big man.
Yeah, confirmed. And I am a believer that what Diego returns offensively with what he showed last year with Tim Beck, he will still have all the tools in place to do the things he did last year and maybe actually be able to stretch the field a little bit. And if he can do that, that's absolutely he was an all-SEC quarterback last year.
Here's my concern. I think as the year went on, the offense got figured out a little bit. Down the stretch, they had one game with over 300 total yards. Now, I know they're not a team that runs a ton of plays, so it's not like they need to go 400 yards. But I think they struggled a little bit down the stretch because teams started to figure out how to scheme this kind of modern triple option type thing that they want to do, and because Diego was banged up. But part of this ranking, too, and I'd throw the question back on you, part of what I do in my head as an exercise as I'm doing this, and I'm going, okay, if I had an SEC team, not any specific, an SEC team, who am I drafting? And so that's where I think that's part of the evaluation and projection aspect of it. And that's where the uniqueness of what they do makes it harder to kind of project and draft and where you'd want him. So, yeah.
I do the exact same thing. That is entirely how I base preseason quarterback rankings. I think you have to a certain extent. Where I have a little bit more of a problem with is the John Mateer element. Because so much of what he did is unknown. And it's very unique to see a guy come into this conference and take over. And I brought this set up before. I'll bring it up again. Diego Pavia is the first quarterback to go directly from an FBS school into the SEC to earn all SEC honors at season's end. Yeah. Cam Newton had the season in between. Jarrett Stidham had the season in between. John Mateer, can he do that? Does he have that kind of upside? Because by putting him at 4, I would assume you're all in on him.
Yeah, I really liked him. That was the most fun. Again, that's not a technical evaluation, but the most fun I had watching film. And the reason I put him where I did, because I think more than most of the quarterbacks, he's got an innate and elite ability to create something out of nothing. And a lot of times when you watch the film, it's kind of what he was doing. I love his ability to change arm angles. Sometimes he's throwing submarine. What I loved also, and he doesn't have like a DJ Lagway arm or a Garrett Nussmeier arm. He's got a really good arm. I loved his ability to manipulate the trajectory of the football on the deep throws. And Oklahoma could not complete a deep throw to save their life last year. And he's just got a knack for it. It's not that he's throwing it, where we practice, it's 35 yards on the red line, 5 yards from the sideline. Like, it's different every single time, but he's got a knack for being accurate no matter what kind of subtly changes with coverage, with where he's at. So I just think that translates. And obviously the Diego Pavia effect of bringing your offensive coordinator bodes really well. But the struggle I had was knowing the talent that he's going against and the talent I'm watching on film. But then I go, yeah, but he's also, the guys he's throwing to weren't great either. And he's going to be throwing to some guys that are a little more talented, at least as a whole. So I really like Mateer. Yeah, I'm high on him.
I know you had a few of the Jackson Arnold games last year. I've said this ad nauseum throughout the offseason, so I don't want to repeat myself. When you watch his game, do you see a broken quarterback, or do you see a guy that can emerge and get Auburn to the places that it hopes it would like to go, which is just simply not the SEC basement?
I see both. I think
that's terrifying, by the way.
Yes, that's Auburn, by the way. I mean, look at the relationship they had with Bo. It's always a little. I think a lot of blame should be on Jackson Arnold for some of what he did last year. A lot more blame should be on everything else. And everybody knows they didn't have their receivers. The offensive line was banged up and rotating. They could not run the football. This was an RPO-based offense. The first letter is R because that means running, rush. They couldn't run the football. And so when you can't do that, what is a quarterback to do? Like, the decisions now are so gray that he's supposed to make in this RPO scheme. I thought because they probably realized his confidence wasn't where it was and they were trying to simplify things, they took a lot of the protection off of his plate. The protection was a disaster. I mean, how many times did we flip on the tape and they're blocking defensive ends with tight ends? Like, it just because they didn't want him adjusting that. This system and the talent that he has and what Hugh wants from him, I think, is better suited. I think he needed a hard reset. Do I think all of a sudden he's this wildly confident guy that's going to rip it up? No. I think he needs to still build that up. And I think if he has a bad couple early games, then you got to worry about that confidence going in the tank again. But if he gets on a run, he's suited to be really elite in the mesh RPO aspect of what they want to do and from a decision-making standpoint. If Auburn can run the football, take some stress off him, he can be a guy that can get them to 9 wins.
Have you ever been in a situation like that, and you're just at any level of football, where you were realizing that you just might be screwed? The circumstances around you just might be as bad as they can possibly be, and there's just nothing maybe within your power. At least you're not mentally prepared to be that guy in that power who could just overcome everything, and you just are like, I'm in an unwinnable situation.
Yeah, I don't know if unwinnable, but to kind of what he dealt with, just like having doubt as a quarterback, you can't play. Like, if you walk to the line of scrimmage before the snap and you have doubt in any aspect of what you're doing, you're not going to execute at any level. My junior year at Vandy, we had really good linemen, and one of my boys, Wes Johnson, was our left tackle, but his weight to hit every week was 263, and he would chug a gallon of water to try to weigh in at 263. My right tackle, Andrew Bridges, was a converted tight end that weighed 255 pounds. So I started to get beat up a little bit. And so I didn't have faith that I was going to have the time to sit in the pocket. And so I started to see ghosts. I started to leave the pocket when I probably shouldn't have because I'm looking at the rush. I'm worried. So those things affect you, and they're hard to shake. They're really hard to shake. I probably didn't shake that until that next year, my senior year, when I started to have a little more confidence that I could control things and take my eyes and stress away from what was happening in front of me.
I almost let you say a positive thing about James Franklin, but I just can't do that.
Someone asked me earlier about James. I said, like, the amount of fire and passion was at a psychotic level his first year. Rightfully so. First year as a head coach, Vandy, like we needed it. But man, he's a different head coach now. But it was some crazy times. He was on fire. I mean, it was fun times.
I went to an Irish Games thing in Dublin. And I kid you not, the instructor at this Irish Games thing was like, oh, yeah, we had this Penn State came through. Penn State played their season opener 2014. It's James Franklin's first ever game. They had a team event at this Irish Games thing where they're doing like curling and crap like that. He's like, that head coach, I think his name was, I don't remember if he named him. I'm like, James Franklin. He's like, that guy is nuts. We were doing this little team activity, and he's all worried about everybody and whether or not they're going to get hurt. He's like, I'd never seen anything like it before. You saw this every single day with James Franklin.
Yeah, honestly, in a way, that aspect and the fire, the psychotic energy at times was really driven from the competitive nature, though. So I will say, to say a good thing, like that got that out of us. That's why we were able to go from 2-10 to 9-4, like because of that. But yeah,
is Gunnar Stockton a dude, or is he just another guy?
I hold the dude ranking very high on my ranking, so I don't know if he's a dude. I think he's a little overlooked about how talented he can be. And I think if you go back and watch that Notre Dame game, he played well enough to win. They couldn't block anybody. The receivers were atrocious. Like, he made throws under pressure that I didn't think he was capable of making, honestly. Didn't know if he could. So I think he's a lot better than maybe people think, even though I don't think anybody thinks he's a bad quarterback. But I don't think he needs to be a dude in this offense. Carson Beck needed to be a dude last year because they couldn't run the football, and there was drop back and throw it and play hero ball from quarterback. Stockton, because of what he can do with his legs, because the running back room's going to be healthier, because of adding Noah Thompson and Zechariah Branch to the pieces they already have, this is the best wide receivers, I know they have Brock Bowers, they've had in a long time. I've been critical. I made news so much because I've talked about how average this group has been for so long, and I stand by that. I think they're going to be better this year, much better around him. So I don't think he's going to feel like he needs to play hero ball, and he doesn't need to. So I don't think he's a dude, but I think he's good. I think his floor is like, or his ceiling is like a really good SEC quarterback, which I think they can win the national championship as. They don't need a hero.
You picked Ole Miss to win it all last year, didn't you?
Oh, come on. Yes, I did. I picked Jackson to win the Heisman and Ole Miss to win it all. I still don't feel bad about that. Like, they just shit the bed when they shouldn't have.
Who among us? We've all been there before. Some of us don't do it against Kentucky. We have all the respect in the world for Kentucky.
But I will say, Brock Vandagriff, come on.
I'll tell you what.
I'd retire after winning that game, too. I'm going to retire week 3 or whatever it was. Don't wait till the end of the year. Just like hang it up. Like,
I wasn't all in on Brock Vandagriff, but I met him in person last February.
Great kid.
Awesome dude. The physical build, he's one of those guys that when you see him in person, you're going to become more impressed with everything about him. And you kind of see the humble, down to earth type of guy that he is. And you kind of are like, all right, this could be a thing. We could be talking about this. I couldn't have foreseen it going so horribly. As a quarterback who gets like reps those first times, is there a moment, do you think, that it probably hit for him or for somebody that is going to experience it this year that we're talking about right now at Media Days, where is it like game 2 or game 3 where they're realizing like it's just not going to happen for me?
Yeah, the thing, it stood out to me when I started to observe his arm strength or the lack of it in person. I think that was the biggest detriment to him because Kentucky is always a team that wants to run the football, play action, take shots. The underthrows, the inability to push the ball to the perimeter and downfield is that you can't be in that offense or be successful in that offense like that. They're not a spread you out quick game. He could do that because you don't need a big arm to do that, and he's smart. That was just the limitation that I think was a bad fit for Kentucky.
Have you had a chance to watch Bo Perbula yet?
I have. And I tell you what, that is the biggest wild card to me because when you watch the tape, you can't see anything. Not once did I think he had a drop back pass. Actually, at the end of Wisconsin, he threw a seam route for a touchdown to kind of rub it in, even though they were way up. That was like the only drop back pass that he had all year. So every time he was in, it was gimmicky because he was kind of that change-up running quarterback. So he's got a ton of physical talent. I think his arm is good, but I have no freaking clue because you don't see him in a situation you go, oh, that's what it could look like at Missouri. You have no idea.
4 passes longer than 20 yards.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I wouldn't even have guessed it was 4. And I watched every snap he had.
Completed one of them.
Yeah, the touchdown in Wisconsin when they were up 42-10 or whatever it was.
Like that's what I always want to know with a guy like that. How is he so coveted in the portal? Like that sounds like I'm not trying to discount Bo Pribula, who was such a talk of college football in December and was somebody that everybody's going like, this guy just doesn't have, like this guy is just a victim of the system and everything like that. But he only made that decision because of how coveted he was. Yeah. And there was clearly an evaluation where they said, we don't care that you attempted 4 passes beyond 20 yards. You're going to come be a guy, and we think that we can build an offense around you. Like, you evaluate quarterbacks all the time. What do you think those teams in Mizzou and Wisconsin looked at and said, we're all in with that guy?
I will say scouting departments and coaches are not above star chasing. And I think, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but your evaluation in high school and where you chose to go carries weight. And so they go, oh, this guy went to Penn State. He had a ton of offers. Like, he's got to be super talented. And you watch film, you're like, I don't really know. But he was obviously talented enough to go there out of high school or to have the accolades. And so I just think there's a little bit, and there's also a little bit of panic. Like, I think when you go after a guy that's at least coveted, you go, well, at least everybody thought he was going to be good. You go after a guy that maybe no one really wants, you take its flyer on him, and he ends up not being good. Now it's all on you. You go grab someone out of the portal, like, well, I mean, he was at Penn State. Like, we got the best, we got one of the best guys in the portal. He just didn't work out. It at least insulates you a little bit from that decision. I'm not saying that's what happened, but I'm just saying, like, that's kind of the self-preservation mode of this NIL era. You want to get somebody that splashes because you think they're good or you hope they're going to be good. The fan base is excited. They're happy. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But at least it wasn't, oh, you chose the completely wrong guy when you could have had this guy.
Plus, he was quarterback for James Franklin. Quarterbacks for James Franklin, they get all sorts of opportunities.
Honestly, that offense is still kind of tough to watch. And Tyler Warren's a dude, and he was a dude, but
we got a mic on the loose. Well, we're adjusting. We got it. We're
troubleshooting.
We're troubleshooting. This is how it's done. This is pro stuff right here.
So we still rolling?
We're still rolling.
We're still part, to me, it's about even evaluating Drew Aller. So the physical skills are there, but the offense is just still kind of gimmicky. It's so like scheme guy open, like he never really has to work through a full progression. It's tough to evaluate a guy even with that much talent, and Pribula obviously as well because he already played in that system and it was gimmicky. But yeah, I was in that system. I wish we would have. I wish RPOs were a thing when I would play in college. That'd have been great. That would have been my wheelhouse. Shorter quarterback, like just let me read it and rip.
I wish you could have played for Joe Moorhead.
That would have been great. Moorhead. That would have been awesome. And he changed. Actually, that was a great move by Franklin when he picked him up because they needed to change things up with that system that Franklin had brought from Maryland to Vandy to Penn State that got kind of stale in the first few years. What's Moorhead doing now? He's coaching somewhere.
Coaching in Akron. Right. I talked to him 2 weeks ago. His son just committed. Where did his son just commit? It was like Kent State or something like that.
Yeah, that's why you flashed my timeline.
Last one for you. National champion, Heisman. You can't pick Ole Miss.
Well, I'm not going to pick Ole Miss this year. LSU. I feel more confident about Nussmeier as the Heisman than I do saying LSU is going to win a national championship. They're my favorite to make a deep playoff run because I just think that the weapons he has are stupid. Like adding Nick Anderson, I think it was huge because they have so much speed. They needed a big body X that they could just put to the boundary and dictate coverage and then attack with speed to the field. Like that was a perfect marriage. Barryon Brown, talking Kentucky, he was underutilized for years. He's a guy that's so much better than I think what people think because he didn't have a quarterback that could throw him the football. And obviously Aaron Anderson, Chris Hilton, Trey Green is a monster. Bauer Sharp, actually, I think is better than people think. So that offense is going to be ridiculous. If their defense is just good, if the money they spent at defensive end and on the front helps them be good, average, good, not great, like they're going to be tough to beat.
I have LSU winning a national championship. Did you steal my take?
No, I didn't. Actually, I didn't know that. See, I feel like are they going to win the national championship? They're my pick for now. I'm gonna stick with it. Nuss is going to win the Heisman. Nuss is going to win the Heisman.
Surely this will go better than last time.
Yeah, dude, I've been bad. I've seen, every year you got some that just, Joe Burrow. Yeah. Is he still playing?
Joe Burrow?
Yeah.
At LSU?
No, I just mean did he make it in the NFL?
He is. I've been watching the quarterback show on Netflix.
Some guy ranked him like 9th in the SEC like a number of years ago, so I didn't know if he'd make it.
I think I gave you crap for that too. You deserved it.
Oh, absolutely, I deserved it. Yeah. I tried to follow my sword on that one. I tried to go down with the ship. Didn't work.
Better predictions this year. Jordan Rodgers. This is just two people picking LSU to win a national championship.
Go.
Love it.